What a great conversation with Bob Wischer, who is a men's coach, talking about just helping men get more in touch with what's going on inside emotionally, and then also finding greater purpose in their life so that when they get to that point where their kids are going off to college and maybe their marriage is ending, that they know who they are as
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, he really showed up with all of his vulnerability and authenticity on this one. Everybody's going to love this one.
Yes. And, again, this month we are talking about suicide awareness, suicidality, suicide prevention. So if this is another conversation that can be really challenging, can be triggering, please take care of yourself. Know that it's important to talk about it. Remember, the National Suicide Hotline is 988. You can call it, text it from any phone, and somebody is there. You are not alone.
The world is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to help us walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marci Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DeMano. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
All right, welcome back to the Warrior Parent Podcast. We are grateful to have you here. Thanks for joining us. And today we will be speaking with Bob Wischer, who, after a messy divorce and alienation from his kids, realized his life had no clear meaning and that he considered actually taking his own life. Thankfully, by God's grace, he found an advertisement for high-performance men's coaching. He had always felt that his career and his life had the potential for high performance, so he dove into the process and healed those broken parts of his life through being coached as well as becoming a certified coach himself. He now works with men who have realized that they too have lost connection with their families, their friends, and most importantly, with themselves. Bob helps them dive deeper into their identities to eliminate fears of failure and rejection. As a husband, a father of 4, and a lifelong Michiganer, Bob believes every man has experienced some version of trauma in their life that may be holding them back from being the man they are meant to be. In service of this, Bob provides high-performance coaching for driven men to get unstuck from loneliness, depression, feeling trapped or isolated by working with them one-on-one through the Most Victories Possible, or MVP, coaching program. He also offers additional support through Men Becoming Better Men Meetup in groups and his podcast. So thank you so much, Bob, for joining us today. We're really happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh boy. So I'm excited. Number one, we have a local Michigander here. We just had this conversation. My husband is a Michigander. So and Marci and I were just saying, I think there's some Michigan men who are pretty evolved. Marci says my husband's pretty evolved. I'm guessing
Shout out to Mike.
you're very evolved. We just had a couple on a couple of weeks ago, doing a lot of couples coaching. And so I always tell Marci, there's nothing more sexy than a vulnerable man. so
I'll try to hold up that end of the
so
deal.
no pressure, no pressure.
And it's so important, so important.
So we're going to get into that, but all you listeners, as you know, it's Suicide Awareness Month, and so we're gonna dive deep into this. You know, the latest statistics that we know of are that every 7.5 minutes someone dies by suicide in the United States of America. So during this podcast, just imagine how many lives there will be. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Bob. He has a really heartfelt story. I want to hear the story and how you got through this and became the MVP coach that you are.
Yeah, thanks. The 7.5 minute stat just blew me away. Haven't heard that one yet. And to think about if we do this podcast for 30 minutes, that's just it just breaks my heart. And that's the reason I got into coaching men like I do. I've known 4 men now that have taken their own lives. Two of which through my day job. It's been a few years. One of them we went home for Christmas break, and in Detroit here in Michigan, we work in the automotive industry, most of us. So we went home for that, week or two shutdown during Christmas, and everything was hunky dory. And it was he worked for you. I was a supervisor. Would have no idea. And when we got back, whatever the first day back after the first of the year, my boss called me in. And I was like, "Well, that's weird for him to, call me at 8 o'clock on a first day back in the morning." And he told me that this man had taken his own life over the holiday, and it blew my mind. And actually, I think that was the second one. And then just about a year ago, good friend of mine at church was, I knew he had some struggles. I knew he was going through some stuff. We were kind of trying to work through it. We were talking, and found out one morning he had an incident happened at his work, and obviously it must have been the last straw. And they found him in his garage. His wife actually found him in the garage.
Oh,
And
it's heartbreaking.
that was absolutely heartbreaking. And then as bad as those two stories are, the worst one is probably my cousin's husband actually was so broken up. They lost their daughter when she was 2.
Oh boy.
Several years. I think it's probably been 14 or 15 years now, I think. But it was probably 2-3 years ago now already. He had just been, the depression had gone getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and he couldn't deal anymore, and he started drinking, and basically drank until his body shut down, which had to be, I mean,
yeah,
it's just I can't even fathom. And
yeah,
those are the stories I know. And again, I had my own battle with depression when I was going through my divorce. It got pretty rough. My ex-wife was not happy about how things were going. It was my choice to leave. And what was going on was basically she was trying to alienate me from the kids, trying to turn them against me, that I was a horrible person, and that I was not who I had been pretending to be for the previous 18 years of our marriage and our life together. And it was breaking me up bad. And I love my kids more than life itself. They're both brilliant. They both have done it. They're both in medical school right now. They're doing amazing things, and they're going to continue to do amazing things. And they have just outstanding outlooks on their lives and their careers, and how they're going to contribute to society, which is wonderful. And I was struggling hard with not having them in my life. And we went several months, almost probably 6 or 7 months without even really seeing them, other than just taking them to dinner, until things were finalized. And then once things got finalized, my daughter was 2 months away from being 18. So that she kind of went and did her thing, went off to school, and I got to spend time with my son. But if it wasn't even just for that that period of time, if I hadn't got to start rebuilding my relationship with him at that point, things may have turned out differently. I remember distinctly the day I was driving, was leaving our house, one day, and driving down a 2-lane road and just thinking, wonder what would really happen if I just drove into oncoming traffic.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
I thinking back on it now, I couldn't do that to them. I couldn't do that to my parents, my friends,
Yeah.
but there are, like I said, I've known 4 men that have decided to do that, and it just it breaks me every time I hear about it. And I vowed actually after my cousin, I vowed I would do everything I possibly could to keep another man from going down that road, and then this one at church happened, and it broke me down all over again. And
Yeah.
I've created the Men Becoming Better Men community to try to keep men from going down that path.
Well, so it's finding purpose, right? So Marci and I were just talking about this for the last podcast, but it is part of your own healing, right?
Yeah.
This is part of how you're able to move through from that very dark place into a place of healing on your own. And that's clearly why you're so affected by it, because you can see yourself in those other human beings, right?
Absolutely.
How close you were. Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully people hear this, especially anyone who's ever thought about it or might be thinking about it now, and see the road you've traveled, knowing that, holding on through that really dark time. And we like to remind people that you can call 988 from anywhere in the United States and get someone who will help you if you were thinking about it right now. Also, if you have someone in your life who's thinking about it, you can call that number and they will help talk you through what to do. But remembering that things can get better, things can change, and that if you make this instant decision, it's permanent. It's a permanent outcome for what could be a temporary problem that can get better, and then you can find this new purpose. So just like to remind people about that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, because we hear statistics, I think most people know suicidality, suicide ideation, or thinking about killing yourself or taking your life or committing suicide, if you will, is on the rise. We talk about teens a lot, we talk about kids, we talk about younger kids, but there is a statistic that might surprise some people, that it is really increasing with men. And I think this is like over the last 10 years or so, but particularly sort of middle-aged men who are hitting some things in their lives. They've been maybe raised a certain way, or they have not been taught to get vulnerable, to get emotional, to check in, to ask for help. Can you talk about what you think is going on there, and how you are specifically reaching out to these men to help them learn the tools, learn the ways to avoid this happening for them?
I think quite simply, it's getting to that point of life where I did, and that was kind of the intersection of where I was. I was right at that point where my kids were, I had one foot out the door off to college.
Yeah.
I went through the divorce, and I was standing there going, wait a minute, now I don't have a wife to worry about. My kids are, I've done my fathering part of, being involved in their lives up until 16, 17, 18 years old. And now it's like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I've been, for 20 years, I've been going to work, coming home, spending time with the family, doing the activities, the kids, the sports, the, dance recitals, the whole enchilada.
Yeah.
And now that's all done. So I come home from work. What am I to do?
Yeah. And who am I?
and yeah, exactly.
Right, because that was your identity. You were dad. You did fix the problems. You showed up for this. You were, like you say, for the sports programs, and you were the husband, and all of that getting stripped away at once.
And it was terrifying, and that's where I ended up. I kept seeing these advertisements for coaching, and I was like, and I didn't really even know what coaching was at that point. I was kind of torn because I again, I coached my son through sports all his
Right.
life.
Right.
So
Different kind of
I knew it
coaching,
was,
right?
yeah, it was somewhere between that
Related.
and Tony Robbins and being on stage and rah, rah, rah and all that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so I didn't know really exactly what it was and where it meant. And I kept seeing this ad and I was like, no, I gotta do something different, because if I just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm that thought of driving into traffic or doing something else may not go away.
Yeah.
And then that was the key for me to jump into that. And within a few sessions of working with my coach for the first time, I was like, okay, this is what it's about. I didn't even, I joke about it. I didn't even know what the term limiting beliefs meant when I started working with him. I had to literally look at him. It's
Wow.
like, what is a limit? I don't really understand what that is.
Yeah.
And hey, come to find out, I had millions of them.
Yeah.
We all do.
We all do.
Kind of what we learn
those
until
little
we learn
programs.
better.
Yeah,
those-
fears, doubts, all that stuff that we learned,
Wow.
and then the purpose part of it. It was within the first month or so of working in that area. We did an exercise about how to write a purpose statement, how to find your purpose, write a purpose statement, have that to be your guiding light and a guiding principle. And that's something I work with my men's group on a lot is, what is your purpose? Who are you becoming? Who do you want to be? Because yes, we're a father and a parent for a period of time. And some of these guys get so hung up in the fact that, I'm a father, I'm a parent, that's all I'm ever going to do and all I'm ever going to be. I'm like, guys, no, don't put those blinders on, because you're going to run into a brick wall when those kids go off to college or get married or whatever they end up doing. You've got to have, an off ramp to what's next in my life, because, and in addition, a lot of times, and I think a lot of the other part of that equation with, the kids getting older and going off and now the kids go off to school, and now you're sitting there with this woman that you barely know, because she's been busting her butt for 18 years to get them to school on time and make their lunches and all the things, while you've been working in general, usually in cases. But now you've got this person that, even if I hadn't got divorced, we wouldn't have known each other very well at that point, because we've had grown apart over the last 18 years. So now you got that in play too. And unless because there's another part of what I work with men on is continuing to date your wife, as cliche as that sounds, for those 18 years, because she's going to go, her tendency is going to be to pour everything she has into raising those kids, keeping them safe, keeping them on track, all of those things. And if you grow apart like I did with my ex, now you're stuck for another. You get the kids going and that. So it's a double whammy. And
yes, and speaking from the female perspective, from the woman's perspective, a lot of us, when we get to that stage, and we have been exactly how you said it, we've been pouring everything in those kids, and hopefully, building that relation too, but with our spouses. But then now you're ready for that next phase, and you're going to go do something. A lot of us go out and do something different, and we're into that purpose work. And if our mate is not able to support it, or if they don't understand it, like, that's a whole other thing that's happening that can pull people apart or pull people together, depending on what we build, the bridges we build, the things that so that it's not just about these kids, like that there's more to our relationship. I think that story is pretty common, that of marriages that fall apart when the kids move out. And that can be really sad.
I want to talk a little bit about your coaching. I know you coach all men right now. And so I was checking out your website and some of the things you were talking about, but you had this whole list of barriers for men, why they struggle. And we don't want to alienate any men here who are not parents, by the way. This is just parenting.
Sure.
But so what do you see as the biggest barriers for men? What do you think the
ego.
issue? Ego, of course.
That's an easy answer.
Yeah.
We all have an ego.
We got
We
it
all have
too.
ego.
Yeah,
We got
we,
it
we
too,
got it.
but
We got it
yes.
too.
Yeah,
It's-
talk about that.
we don't want to, I think somebody said it earlier, we don't want to ask for help. We think we've got everything figured out. We know all the answers, we can figure out the answers or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That's funny, that text message is my daughter, just having, yeah, just, and then being offended if someone tries to help us or support us. That I think is the hardest part with working with men is we don't think we need help, but repeatedly for 5 years since I started the Men Becoming Better Men community, I hear consistently, I thought I was the only one that had this problem.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that we are all so much alike. If I had a nickel for every time I heard it, I'd be rich. Because it's just, it blows my mind that we all think that we're unique and we have unique problems and we don't. And that's kind of the beauty part of the in-person community that we have is we've got 20-year-old men in there and we've got 70-year-old men in there and everyone in
Oh my
between.
gosh.
Yeah.
And
That is beautiful. I love that. I love that.
It's so cool that we can learn from each other and the
Yes.
generations. And I always tell the younger guys, I'm like, if I'd have had this type of organization to support me and when I was in my 30s and 40s,
Yeah.
life would have been so much different.
Well, let's talk about, because Marci and I talk a lot about, because we're the OGs. So a lot of times we have these younger generations and we're all about promoting the younger generations. And we're also about being very protective of them. Like we're really, in for dumping the old paradigms. Like, let's not think like that anymore. Let's let men be vulnerable. Let's let men, cry. We're done with the ego thing, right? I was talking about the vulnerability earlier. That's a big thing. But but you also mentioned that almost everyone you work with, or all men, probably all humans, let's just be clear, have some past trauma that they're working through, right? So talk about that a little bit. I don't know maybe what your own trauma was, or if you're willing to go there. But that's a big one for me.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
curious.
That's actually, it's a very, very interesting story, at least as far as I'm concerned, because it's my story, but in doing the work for myself, working with the coaches I've had over the years, I first I uncovered one situation that happened, and sorry, Mom, I'm telling the story again. She gives me a hard time. She listens to my podcast appearances. She hates when I tell stories about her, but love my mom to death. I know she was just doing what she thought was right for me, but
Yes.
at a point I recall laying on the floor in our living room trying to put it. She wanted me to put on one of those big snowsuits. I was like 3 years old. One of this big snowsuit, and you can't move, and you feel like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, all that.
Yeah.
And she was getting so mad. She's like, "Okay, fine, I'm leaving," and she walked out the door. Now, I don't know if she came back in 10 seconds or 10 minutes or however long it was, but the meaning I made
Abandonment.
in my 3-year-old undeveloped brain was that, oh crap, if I don't do things right and follow instructions and do what my mom tells me to do, she's going to leave me.
Yeah.
So that same pattern transpired over almost every relationship I had through elementary school and high school and college and into my first marriage. Then that's one. And then the second one was I realized that I was born in May. My parents were born in October. I'm sorry, married in October.
Yeah.
If you do the math, that's not 10 months.
Not quite right.
Yeah.
So what I realized through learning that and understanding that is, holy crap, my parents got pregnant before they were married. And I'm sure, because I know how I would feel, like, oh crap, what are we gonna do now? We're 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a baby, and oh my God, where are we gonna live? What are we gonna do? My dad was in college. what are we going to do? All this and and all of that energy, that negativity of stress and panic and
Yes.
crap, because they lived in a very small community and I'm sure it was going to be a big deal, and the gossip, all that.
Right.
So they're freaking out. That energy, even though I was in utero at the time, that energy still was absorbed into my cells.
You bet.
It was going
You
through
bet.
mom. And again, I've always felt like I've been a fifth wheel all my life, because it was that the meaning that I made, my cells in my subconscious brain made when I was before I was even born, to have that kind of trauma. So that on top of the other one has caused all kinds of strife through my life, difficulties, feeling alone, feeling left out, feeling not part of things.
I
And
think that's so beautiful what you're saying. It sounds like just the simplest little thing, right? Like, right? But as you said, in a 3-year-old mind, and then also in vitro, a lot of people don't understand that whatever the mother's trauma is, I don't know if you follow Gabor Mate, but he talks about, he's a French guy, he's all about the trauma, but he's the guru. But anyway, he talks a lot about what happens in vitro to children. And again, this is no blame. This is just, we're just understanding, right? Energy, the energy fields that we're living in, what we're surrounded in, and all of that conditioning shows up in how we're going to show up as human beings, right?
Yeah, and it's important and it's helpful to name it, to be aware of it. So we always say on our podcast, awareness is the first step. So you're doing this work, and I don't know at what point you start to realize this. I assume it's in your coaching that you start to realize, you put it all together, and now you're understanding that, oh, this simple thing, and my mom's she's just trying to get to work or to this appointment or whatever. She needs you to work faster. You're a 3-year-old, super developing, squishy brain that's figuring out what it is, and you're told, yeah, mom's going to leave, and then how that had to replayed in your life. But now you're like, oh, so now you have this moment of awareness, and you're like, okay, now I understand this. Again, no blame to your mom, not about, it's not about blaming or saying you ruined my life. That's not it at all. It's awareness for you. It's awareness for her too, because now she can do better. When we know better, we do better. But now you can say, okay, now I understand this. And now next time you're in that situation, maybe with a partner or whoever, some sort of situation where you're feeling like, oh, if I don't hurry or I don't do this right, I'm going to be abandoned. You have the awareness. Now you start to say, oh, wait a minute. That's my old trauma. That's not the truth. Actually, what's happening right now is this. I'm okay. I'm safe. My wife's not leaving, or this friend isn't leaving. And now you get to create new neural pathways, new ways of showing up in your life that serve you instead of serving this old trauma. And that's transformational. And that's the word.
The word I'm thinking is freedom.
Yes.
It's a huge dose of freedom, that you don't have to worry about those things anymore. I'm sure there's lots of other things we can worry about, but
oh yeah, you'll keep finding stuff. So I always like to show, like, you're leveling up, but it doesn't mean like it's just a flat straight road. It's like you're going and then you're getting more and you're getting better and you're understanding. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're not here to just
and then
and that is the ego showing up to protect you always, right? And
absolutely.
So as long as you could recognize, you don't have to hate your ego. Right. Embrace your ego. I always just say, just put him in the back seat. You continue to drive, but just throw him in the back.
Stop letting him drive your life.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the other part of that is, like you were talking about spiraling up, and how I like to envision my work is that I want to work with men that are just a step or two behind me. I want to be able to reach back and pull them up the ladder, that maybe I'm a rung or two up the ladder from them. I want to bring them up. There's probably maybe some more men down at the bottom of down near the bottom of the ladder. Those are not guys that I'm willing, not that I'm not willing, I'm probably not able to help them, because I'm a little too far removed from that situation to bring them up. But those are the ideal people that I like to work with, are guys that are just a little bit behind me, So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can bring them to where I'm at as I continue to reach, because I'm working with my coach who's a few rungs up the ladder
Yes.
ahead of me. He's pulling me up, I'm
Yeah.
pulling men behind me. So
And
it's
we want to be clear too about coaching versus psychology or therapist, right? So there are those people who truly need to be in a different environment, perhaps.
it's
There's things there that you shouldn't do, and as a coach, you're not able to do. So sometimes that's a tricky thing to know. But
yeah,
for those out there who are listening and maybe want to participate in a coaching program, right? You
Yeah.
probably have to have made sure this is not something else going on. That
yeah,
Right.
this is
It's
just a
not the
little.
same as crisis counseling, especially things
Yes.
like that.
absolutely,
And yet
absolutely.
it can be very, like you say, when you found it and had a few sessions and started to have this whole realization, this whole opening of your mind to a whole nother way of being. And lots of people need that. And I love what you said about finding the people you're meant to help. Like you're not necessarily out there for everyone. So you're finding this niche, these people who you can help pull up. And
Mhm.
same thing that you've got your person who's helping to pull you up. It's like it's being in service of each other, and
Yeah,
you're still leveling up. You're not like, I know everything now, let me just pull it. You're still leveling up. You're helping bring other people up. This is how we change the world. That's the ripple effect. And
yeah.
Yeah.
that's really remarkable.
So I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday. He used the phrase "give freely,"
Mm,
and it hit me right square in the head. I was like, "Oh, love that! Just give freely."
yeah.
Yes. Yes. World needs a lot more of that right now,
To
for
be in
sure.
service, to be in service of, because this is another thing Debbie and I always say, we really are all connected on this planet. So whenever we're helping someone else, we're helping ourselves and we're helping others. And you can't be like, oh, not them, because there is no them. It's all us. So when we live our life in service, it just ripples out and lifts everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
and it'd
amazing.
be great if we could get more of that going instead of the constant tearing down of each other
Yes,
Yeah.
as we approach November. The
Oh,
headbutt
yes.
that's constant. I
absolutely.
try to keep it out of my consciousness.
Yeah.
I think I've wiped
Yeah.
out everybody on Facebook that does political commentary. I've them.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, because whenever it is that tearing down of others, then you just, and that's a question to ask yourself, as you post, as you step out, as you like, am I pushing someone down? Am I othering people, or am I trying to bring us together? Whether I believe in this issue and they believe in that issue, are we not still connected? Are we still humans? Do we not still want our children to have food and safe schools? So where do we come together
Yeah.
to uplift each other and uplift our society, our country,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
leave some of the
Oh,
tribalism and the other things behind?
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm afraid we're running out of time, Bob, and I'm
Oh, what
just
a great
feeling
conversation.
so inspired by the work you're doing and by the human that you're becoming. And man, I hope we can stay in touch with you.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
I would
feeling
like you to share a little bit about, I don't know, I know you talked about in-person work. Are you doing virtual work? How do people get to work with you or find out more?
Actually, I've expanded a little bit recently, so it's all of the above. So I
Wonderful.
do have my in-person group here in the Metro Detroit area. I'm actually starting next week. We kick off a virtual version of that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's going a little farther and a little deeper. There's going to be some group coaching type things, as well as a lot of accountability, goal setting, accountability, support of whatever it is that a particular man comes with, or whether he wants to work on his marriage or his career or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We'll work on that. That kicks off next week. I'm calling that the Men Becoming Elite Men Mastermind.
Nice.
There's a link on my website for anyone that would be interested, and it's going to be a perpetual group. It's kicking off next week, but I intend it to be perpetual and grow. But there's a link on my website if you want to find more information about that.
Tell us your website.
menbecomingbettermen.com.
Excellent.
Love it.
I
And
believe I'll
I
send
like
you
to
for the
say,
show notes.
as you said, you kept hearing about coaching, you didn't know what it was. If you're a man listening to this right now and you're hearing what Bob is just talking about, there's a reason that's coming to you. So go to the website, check it out, be open, maybe reach out, maybe ask a question, like be a little vulnerable, be a little open. This is a safe person right here. Ask your questions. Maybe this is for you, and maybe this is how you're going to take your life to the next level, how you're going to level up your life working with Bob. And then who are you going to touch after maybe you do the work?
And the funny thing about that is you might not need to work together for 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is. Maybe it's one conversation can unlock you and send you on a path of personal growth and fulfillment that if we don't have that conversation, what happened otherwise? I love having conversations like this with you guys. I love talking to people about these type of things and what that can mean for the greater of society and our communities. And it just, that's why I do the work. It's not about, getting around. I don't want to be Tony. I don't want to be, Joe Rogan. I don't want to be any of those guys. I want to help a few people along the way with the wisdom that I have and share the things that I've been through. And
I think a little curiosity can go a long way. And for some men, right? Just be a little bit curious.
Yeah.
I dare you. I dare you.
Yes.
I like how you went there.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Bob. You're awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And now for your core mental health break. This is your opportunity to take a moment to support your mental wellness, your peace of mind, your ease and grace. Our Core Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, in spite of whatever's going on in your world. We suggest you schedule a mental health break every day. It doesn't have to be elaborate or time-consuming. Set your alarm to take a deep breath a few times a day. You deserve it, and it matters. Today, let's try some sound healing by means of this binaural music. Put on your headphones if you can. Take a breath. Relax. Maybe close your eyes and just listen. Thank you for pausing for yourself today. Your mental health is important, and you deserve peace, calm, and ease in your life every day. So please choose to receive it. It is always available right at your center, your heart, your core. Stay well, friends. Thanks for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast, which is a production of our nonprofit, Cour Experience, who also creates and distributes Cour tools. You can find us at courexperience.org. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and in your community.
Our Core Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. We want to thank Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. Our podcast editor is Justin Beeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the producers, or the financial supporters. I'm Debbie DeMano.
And I'm Marci Mitchell. Thanks for listening. If you resonate with the idea of creating a community to help support kids and families, won't you join us by following the podcast and sharing this episode? You can even write a review. It truly does take a village, and we appreciate you.